NICO,
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 NICO.
NICO,
Hulkenberg,
Hulkenberg.
Hulkenberg.
Aniket, what a race, man. Oh, yeah, but before that, welcome everyone to a British Grand Prix review of Pod and the Apex. And guys, what a Sunday it was. At first, it was very start stop, the rain, the safety car, which seemed a little pointless to me. But sure, safety and all that. But yeah, rain, safety cars, crashes. Again, very tame crashes. Nobody crashed into each other. People just spun off in the water. But then finally, the racing started, and the entire grid was out of order because five cars just decided to pit right after formation lap. Aniket, what was that, man? That has to be the world's worst gamble ever.
Yeah, I mean, it was
Like, why would
definitely
you
a
give up
gamble.
track position at the beginning of the race, man?
Definitely a gamble. I think the guys who pitted, they thought that the track would dry faster than it actually did,
Yeah,
and that's why they took a gamble. I mean, it was strange to see a Mercedes and a Ferrari also in that in that
two
order as
Mercedes,
well.
both the Mercedes pit, right?
Both the Mercedes and the Charles Leclerc as well.
Yeah,
Completely baffling because I'm sure the teams would have told them otherwise.
right.
But ultimately, it does come down to the drivers and their feel of the conditions, and it turned out to be wrong because those five drivers, as you said, lost a lot of time
Yeah,
behind the other drivers. I mean, they came out, they basically had to warm up their tires, survive in those track conditions, which was still
exactly.
damp, and then drive around again till more rain came, and then they could switch on to inters.
Yeah, especially
So,
at the start of the race, man. You're giving up the grid to start in the
exactly,
pit lane, so you have to wait till everybody passes you, and like
yes.
just automatic 30-second gap opened up. And
And then you're on
you can't
cold
even rush out
tires,
of the
you're
pit lane, right? You
spinning.
have to go like one by one. People are like
Yes.
filing out, and you have like seven cars or whatever in the pit lane.
Yep. I mean, we did see that. We've seen that instance before also in Hungary a few years back where only Lewis Hamilton started. I remember that start where only Lewis Hamilton was the only car on the grid who actually started. The others went and pitted and got right. And that was the best. That was a good decision at that time. But this
Yeah,
time the guys who did pit, bad decision because
very
track
very bad
conditions are still
decision.
wet. So if we move on to the actual start of the race, so we saw that the top four, which is the two McLarens, Verstappen and Lewis, they got off to pretty like safe start. I think everyone kept their track positions for the first few laps. Till
No, I think Max did lose a position. Oscar overtook him.
not in the first couple of laps. I think he did get him later on when the rain started coming heavier, and then he lost his
Right, right.
Max basically, I mean, you knew that Max could not keep up with that skinny rear wing in those kind of conditions
Yeah, yeah.
because I think they did not foresee conditions like that, or they wanted it to be dry and it didn't happen in the race.
I
So
mean, again,
his setup
it
would
was a
never work in the
gamble,
rain.
right?
It was a gamble.
I
It
think
got him
initially the
pole, but the rain
forecast was that
started
the
to come.
rain will come in the morning and then they stop. So they probably thought the
Yes.
race will be dry. So then it would have worked out for them.
Yeah, if we start at the top, so Verstappen did obviously, mess his race up with the, firstly by setting up the car for a more dry setup, and
Hmm.
then the McLarens obviously had more superior pace, so they were going to get him at some point, within the first 10 laps. But then the rain kept coming, and then the Red Bull lost his way over there,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
unfortunately for Max, he lost a lot of points also
Hmm.
to his championship rivals. He was already kind of out of contention, but this is taking him further back, and it's going to be a monumental effort from him to claw back like some 60 odd points,
Right.
going forward from here on from
Yeah,
here
since
onwards.
we're talking about Max, before we move on to the other, teams and drivers, about Max, do you think? I think at this point we are at halfway, and he's what? Sorry, don't have the standings in front of me, but I think he's what 60 odd points. I think
69
behind.
points, I think, behind.
Yeah, there it
Yeah,
is. Yeah, he's. Oh, he's actually almost 70 points behind. Yeah,
69 points.
69. Very
Oscar.
nice.
Yeah.
Uh, he's 69 points behind the leader, Oscar Piastri. So, do you think his title defense is done? He's dusted. That's it. No more Max in
I mean,
for
you can never say
2025.
never, right? There's still what 11 or 12 races
12,
left in
12
the
races.
season.
We're at halfway.
12
But
races.
I mean,
We're
obviously,
halfway
never
done.
say never. But
Yes.
considering the trajectory of this season, I mean, sure. I mean, it's not a mathematical impossibility. Far from it. But considering how the cars and the races have been so far in the first half, it's a pretty tall order for Max to catch up, isn't it?
It is a very tall order, I think, especially with how the McLarens are now doing so well.
Yeah, unless you have
And both
like
of them.
2 or 3 McLaren double DNS.
Exactly. Which I don't foresee happening because their reliability has also been excellent. I think Mercedes engines have also been.
Unless we get some papaya and magic or
Yeah,
drama.
we are not getting that. It doesn't seem like we're good. I think both drivers are pretty sensible enough
Yeah.
to not, crash into each other.
Unfortunately.
And yeah, so I don't foresee that. And the Mercedes engine is also pretty reliable.
Right.
So I don't think that's going to happen as well. So it's going to be a tall order. Let's see like how the next few races pan out. We've got Belgium and what Hungary, I think, after
Yeah,
this.
Belgium and Hungary before the
Belgium
break.
and Hungary before the break again. So Belgium has generally been a good track for Max, I think, or I don't remember. I'm not sure what his stats are there, but he's going to get a lot of support in Belgium as well.
Yeah, I
So
mean, he was good there when that car was a rocket. Belgium
yeah,
favors fast cars, and the McLaren is literally a rocket right now.
yes,
I don't think anybody is catching McLaren at Spa, honestly.
no. I think we can preview and say this one two already.
I mean,
We don't need to do a
Spa is
preview.
very much like Silverstone, right? Very fast track,
Yes.
mix of corners.
So
Yeah,
that was, yeah. So that was kind of Max's race. He did kind of almost crash into Oscar. We'll come to Oscar and talk about whether penalty was deserved. But on the
yeah,
second restart, he almost crashed into him. Then when the race actually got started, he
right.
spun, lost about 8 places,
Yeah, I think he got
and
rattled by that incident.
he did get rattled.
Yeah,
He lost 8 places. Then it was a kind of a lost cause for him. He had to make up all those places, and the Red Bull was not behaving too well when it was raining.
right.
It got better when it started becoming dry and on slick tires, but
Yes,
was he just went too far back. If I'm just if you had probably been in a top three,
Hmm.
top four, he would have probably finished on the podium,
Right.
and we wouldn't have got the Hulkenberg moment which we have got today, or which we
Yeah.
got on Sunday. But yeah, I think that's his championship challenge kind of
But he still did
hanging
manage
by
to
thread.
come to P5.
He did.
Yeah.
That's one thing about Max. You seem like he's gonna be out somewhere in P10, but he still
Yeah,
managed to
he
come
still
back.
dragged that
He
shitbox a lot.
dragged he dragged the car to P5, and whereas people like George Russell like went backwards, and people like Charles Leclerc again like finished 15th or something. So we're gonna talk about
Yeah, I
Ferrari as
think
well.
Russell and Leclerc and even Kimi is probably the team is more to blame rather than
Yeah,
themselves. I think Leclerc, they were saying there are even bigger problems with the car
yeah. I mean, it
on Sunday.
definitely come to Ferrari because there were
Yeah,
two contrasting drivers there in different in those conditions. We had one who was extremely superior, while one who was kind of
right.
like it felt like he was new to F1 in those conditions. So that's how it was for Ferrari. But I think Yuki Tsunoda, what did he managed to score points, right? I think this race.
No, he didn't. He was last.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
He was
I,
he was
I
the
got it.
he was the only driver who got lapped.
Oh
He
man. Oh
finished
yeah.
15th. He finished 15th. So unless half the
Okay.
field
I
retired, he
was
would not be getting
I was
points.
going to say Yuki could have got into Q3, but apparently
Yes.
something happened with his engine, with
Yeah,
his
yeah.
Honda engine, and he did not get into Q3. But that Red Bull obviously does not
Yeah, I
work
think
well
yeah, I
with the
think at this
second
point it's very
driver.
clear what the Red Bull is, right? It's literally just Max ringing the neck of the car.
Exactly. It doesn't work well with any other driver apart from Max. So
Yeah. I think ironically the one
and
driver
that's
who would
another
do
reason why Max is not going to win the championship because he doesn't have a second driver or his
exactly.
teammate to actually back him up or hold up the McLarens at any point.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
all his teammates have been so far behind that they're not even in contention for the top five.
And like we said, covered previously on this channel as well, Max is reportedly very angry that the car is so pointy. I mean, sure, he likes it pointy, but he has himself said it even publicly that the car is, it's losing speed because of how they customized it for him. Like, went so overboard making it a car for him,
Yeah.
the Red Bull. And yeah, I mean, if you look at, say, 2021 Perez, I mean, he could drive that car. It's not like he struggled. He had such great defenses that year, especially Abu Dhabi. He kept Lewis off for so long. So I think, yeah, I think Red Bull have kind of painted themselves into a corner, at least for this season. I mean, you're not going to completely change the philosophy of the car, right? I mean, there was something maybe you should have done over the winter break, but clearly they didn't. So yeah, I mean, right now they just have to ride or die. And well, yeah, they sacrificed 2 drivers for that now. 3 if you count Max if he leaves. So they sacrificed the goose for which they were sacrificing the other driver. So, but yeah, enough about Red Bull, man. Let's talk McLaren, man.
Yeah,
What is that car like? Oh my goodness,
that car.
that car was run. It's like Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri driving their own race in the front. At least Max was keeping them company in the beginning, but I think especially after the restart when Max spun off, right, and the two McLarens
Yeah,
were together, yeah, I mean nothing at the front. They were like, I mean, if you look at the gaps, Oscar
they
is
were like
6 seconds
more than a pit
behind
stop
Lando,
away.
and Nico is like half a minute behind Oscar.
Half a minute ahead of the rest, basically. That's what you meant. Yeah.
Sorry.
You meant half a minute ahead of the rest of the pack.
Yeah, yeah. So I
Yeah,
mean, they're like Lando and Oscar have like 6 seconds between them, and then Nico is like
yeah.
half a minute behind. Like, come on, man, what is this? Like, this like when was that? 2021, I guess, or 2023 when Max was so far ahead, or in 2021 where Max and Lewis used to have their own races at the front.
Yeah.
It's pretty much what it's becoming now. McLaren
I
has
think
their
the
own
car
race.
has been so dominant, right? It's
Yeah,
dominant in every damn condition.
right.
So I think you safely call it one of the best cars which we've seen in this, one of the most dominant cars we've seen in this past couple of years.
Right.
I mean, it's car capable of getting a 1-2 every race practically.
Hmm.
So it's been that dominant, and if not for, I mean, Oscar and Lando are very good drivers, but if they had somebody like a Lewis or Max in that, I think it would have been a different story in terms of probably a P1 every damn time. But
I mean, we literally saw that with Max in 2023 or even
yes,
Lewis in 2020.
yeah. So, but nevertheless, they had their own battle. I think Max spun and his race was gone. The Ferraris were too far back.
Yeah.
Mercedes had, Mercedes were good in the rain, but strategy ruined them. So their five, whatever, the 3-4 competitors which they had were all wiped out, and it was
Hmm.
basically their own race from there onwards.
Right.
So I mean, the weather conditions were unparalleled. It was, nobody was coming close to them. So now, if we come to the main story of the race, which was not Nico Hulkenberg's podium, but Oscar Piastri's 10-second penalty.
Right. Right.
Was it actually worth 10 seconds? I mean, I understand the penalty because he did slow down dramatically. He did come down to, I think, from about 200 kilometers, he came down to like 50 or something. So that was a huge
Yeah, I
decrement.
think I think he was trying to bait Max there because Max has this habit of driving
Max is a
alongside.
habit, exactly. We've seen that, right?
He was
So
trying to bait Max, but he baited Max so hard he penalized himself.
yeah, he literally went ahead of him. So I was like, okay, that's a penalty to one of them. I wasn't sure who was going to have the penalty, because Max or Oscar.
Yeah,
But one of them was getting a penalty, and then we did see on the onboard replay that Oscar's braked pretty like
right.
viciously to
Yeah,
maintain a gap between him and the safety car, and which caused a lot of other cars to brake heavily as well. So I understand the penalty, but 10 seconds seems a little too harsh. I mean, I don't know, like, the FIA is now maintaining the standard of giving out 10-second penalties instead of a 5-second penalty.
yeah. So the thing was, I think in the beginning of 2024 itself or 23, I don't remember. Basically, one of the years after Masi left, not 22, but one of the following years after the 2021 disaster of stewardship. So the FIA did say that the minimum penalty will be 10 seconds, except in quote mitigating circumstances where it will be 5 seconds. But again, it was not consistently applied. Like we saw 5 second penalties still being given way too casually instead of 10, even when actual you had actual penalizable incidents happening on track. A lot of times used to be 5 seconds. But I think at least this year they have been pretty kind of they've tried to be consistent with the 10 second. And I think because in this case, I mean, again, I don't know the data, so somebody will probably yell at me in the comments for saying this. But I think generally they're trying to apply the mitigating circumstances where if it's slightly a little out of the driver's hands, right? That's when they put it down to 5 seconds. Like you still push somebody off track, but let's say it was not totally in your control, depending. And however you measure that, obviously that's up for debate. But I
Yeah.
think that's when they're using the 5 second penalty. But in such clear cases, right, Oscar clearly slammed the brakes hard to kind of bait Max into overtaking him. under the safety car. Yeah, so I think it was pretty cut and dry. I know Oscar was
Yeah.
pissed though. Have you ever seen Oscar that angry? Like,
Yeah, I
dude was
mean,
not having it at
definitely.
all.
Definitely. And at one point, he was asking to switch back with
Yeah,
Lando so that they could have a
man.
fair battle. So,
That what was Oscar thinking, man? Like,
I mean, that was never going to happen, but I praise him for his, confidence that McLaren would actually be doing that.
no,
So,
no, but just imagine you're telling the team, hey, you think the penalty is unfair? Okay, swap with my teammate.
yeah. So, but otherwise, he should have won this race easily. 9 of 100 times he's going to win this race, except for one freak incident, and that happened to be on
Hmm.
Sunday.
Yeah.
So, he was romping away with the victory, right? He was like, what, 13 seconds ahead before the rain came
Oh,
hard,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and he was a long way ahead. And then the safety car came, and if not for his, sudden, whatever, sudden temptation to break that late, he would
Right.
have won this race pretty comfortably because he was comfortable in the lead. So, unfortunate, but it gives us a tighter championship battle now, right? Lando has won his second race on the trot. The gap is now, what, 7 points now? Nothing. Seven
I
points,
think so.
nothing.
7 or 8 points, something like
So,
that. Yeah.
yeah. So I think it's 8 points, but yeah, it's nothing.
Yeah, 8 points.
So,
Yeah.
so Lando wins next race. They're back on equal terms, and then it's all to play for. So, it's a matter of who's gonna go on a streak now. Who's gonna go? Like Lando's gonna go on a 2 race winning streak or what? 4 race winning streak. Oscar, is he gonna come back? Because these are the two guys we're gonna see battle it out till the end of the season, and we hope it's going to be an up and down battle where both drivers are given equal chance of fighting, and they do have some fantastic battles that the viewers enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, but I think at least if we to touch one Lando Norris for a bit, finally wins his home race, right? The Lando stand got what they were waiting for the entire weekend. Pretty much took over Stoke Corner and made it Lando Norris stand.
Yeah, he kind of did not do anything wrong in the race, right? I mean, he got the overtake done on Max pretty quickly, and then he benefited from the penalty, and then there was no incidents after that, right? He did not put a foot wrong. So we didn't expect Lando to do so well in these conditions, but he showed that last year in the race
Hmm.
in the mixed condition as well, where he was leading at one point of time.
Right.
So
Yeah,
he's coming.
he had a bad tire choice at the end, right?
Yes, he's coming into his own over the last few races. Just as
Right.
he kind of lost confidence over that Canada incident,
Mm-hmm.
but the last few races he's shown more character and done nothing wrong. So he's getting back, and we're gonna have a championship
Right.
battle in our hands in the second half of the season.
Yeah, it's game on. It's funny, right? I think what 4 5 races ago, sometime in May, before Monaco, basically before he won Monaco, we were saying on this podcast, yeah, I think Oscar is like a shoe-in for the title. He looks unbeatable. Lando looks completely out of sorts. That's what we were saying. That's what everyone was saying, right? It was everyone was like, yeah, this is Oscar's championship to lose. No way Lando is coming back. But props to Lando, man. He won Monaco. He won what is the last one? I forget.
Austria,
Austria. He won now Silverstone.
Silverstone. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think fair play to him. He very very good comeback, especially after what Spain and Canada. We didn't have two good weekends.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Well, that's what McLaren. Should we talk about NICO?
Oh yeah, for sure.
What a race for him, man! Started 19th on the grid. Like he was, and you might think it's just 19th. He was last on the grid because I believe
Sandy
P20
Colapinto,
Colapinto started from the pit lane.
pit lane.
So
Yeah.
yeah, he was literally last on the starting grid. Before 6 more cars decided to go crazy and into the pit lane. But yeah, well, the
Yeah,
initial
so
starting rate, he was last, dead last, and he ends the race on the third step of the podium. And
amazing race. 239 races into
yeah,
his career and his first podium. It's been a long time coming. We all know he should have definitely got few more podiums than just
he
one.
should have won a race.
But
What's that? Brazil, 2012.
yeah, 2012. But he's finally got one, and I'm sure he'll be like over the moon
Yeah,
with this unexpected result. obviously, as you said, the 6 cars who pitted, that gave an advantage because he didn't have to overtake 6 cars to
Mm,
get there. So by de facto, he's what, like 14th place now,
right.
as soon as the race started, or 13th place.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he did the smart choice of pitting earlier than the other people when the intermediates,
Mm.
when, what do you say, when the rains came down hard, and then he gained about 6 more places, I guess, there, 5 or 6 more places.
Yeah. I think he was one of the early people to pit
Yeah.
on lap
So
9.
he
He pit.
was, after the first safety car when the rains came down, he was what, fifth? I think it
Yeah.
was the two McLaren. No, it was sixth. So there was two McLarens: Verstappen,
Right.
Stroll, Gasly, and himself in the top six, I believe.
Yep.
And he got past Lewis, he got past George, Charles, everyone there. So all the drivers who he who he
At
would
one
have been
point,
behind.
Lance Stroll was P3 as well.
Yes.
And then also that I think that was also a big reason why there was such a big gap, right? Stroll was pretty much holding up the field. His car had no pace, but nobody could overtake him in without DRS in those conditions.
Yep. And yeah, if we come back to Hulkenberg, right, the
Yeah,
Sauber has been a very good car over the last few years. It's got 35 points in the last 4 races, more than Red Bull
more
as
than
well.
Max.
Yeah. So definitely they're doing something right in the Sauber camp after not starting off the season too particularly well.
Right.
But under Jonathan Wheatley's leadership and with Matteo Binotto also there now, it seems like they're more stable and they're heading in the right trajectory, moving towards Audi next season.
Audi
So
Audi would be shoved after this race, man. Like
and
I'm
Nico Hulkenberg didn't put any foot wrong. Like he
yeah,
showed his veteran mind. He did the overtakes that he needed to do.
right,
Even when Lewis was coming behind him, he was keeping calm. He didn't put a foot wrong. He could have easily made a mistake,
right.
seeing the Ferrari behind him, but he was just focusing on his own race.
Hmm.
And then once we moved to slicks again, he was calm. He didn't put a foot wrong. He didn't spin or anything. He managed to have a 5 to 6 second lead and kept it under control. With under with Lewis behind. So he deserved that third place after everything that's gone on in that race. He was one of the few ones who didn't put a foot wrong. So very well done to Nico and the entire Kicksauber team.
Yeah, I think that man, I don't think I think it was Nico or Jonathan Wheatley. Somebody said in an interview that they knew that the floor upgrade would be good, but they didn't expect it to be so good. Like Bortoletto, that I think double points right last race in Austria,
Austria.
and here they had a podium. They have after this one race, they have jumped from 9th to 6th
Sixth.
in the
Yeah.
championship. So massive haul for Sauber with one podium. What is it? 15 points right is a podium. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, massive haul for them, and wow, man, it's like wow. I don't think beginning of the season when we did our predictions, I think we had Sauber what second from bottom.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll
I see
probably do
that.
a recap over the 3 week break. Since it's a
Yeah.
halfway point, so make sure to stay subscribed if you want to catch that recap of our predictions, preseason predictions. But we had them second from bottom, and we were doing so well with that, Aniket.
We didn't expect this update to take them up so massively.
Even Sauber didn't expect that.
Yeah. So yeah, Hulkenberg deserved podium. I was a little like sad because Lando and Oscar barely noticed him on the podium.
Yes,
Didn't
that
rouse him in
was that was not
champagne.
cool, man. That was not cool.
Yeah, I don't know if it was intentional or not, but I would have kind of loved it if he had got more attention on the podium. But yeah,
Okay,
it's okay.
here's my hunch on what happened. I don't think it was intentional because I don't
Yeah,
think either Lando or Norris. Sorry, what am I saying? Either Lando or Oscar are that
it's
kind
late.
of
It's okay.
people. I don't think anybody in the grid would kind of freeze someone out from having their
Yeah,
first podium. I think it was just that Oscar was so mega pissed off. He spoiled the mood of the entire McLaren camp with his tantrums because of the penalty. And I mean, you can even see it in the cool down room as well. Oscar was being very like standoffish. Even the podium, I mean, sure, I know I did see Oscar smiling, but it felt very, there's a very weird vibe it felt. Yeah, I think unfortunate for Nico that he got caught up in this, inter-team
yeah,
drama that happened. Like if
yeah.
Oscar finished P4 or was outside the podium, I don't think any of this would have mattered. Lando would be jumping and they'll all be fine. But I think Oscar just kind of Messed it up for Nico. Man gets his first podium in 239 starts. He has two people who are fighting each other on the podium with their team drama and gets a Lego trophy. Doesn't make it a real trophy.
Yeah, a lot of stuff happened there. But he did get a podium, which was nice.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I mean, the podium will
that's all
always
good.
stick with him, right? Regardless of
Yeah.
who celebrated within the
This
podium
could have
or.
probably been the most monumental P3 we ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, in a while, right? When was the last time? I think, sure. I mean, I guess
I don't even
Brazil
remember.
2024,
Who was on podium? I don't remember.
the double Alpine podium.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That car was
Okay.
garbage, man. That was worse than the Sauber.
Yeah, but this is someone who has
Right.
raced for 239
Yeah,
races
yeah.
and
Obviously, I mean,
so
he had this very unwanted record, right, of not having a
yes.
podium in so many starts. Because generally, a driver doesn't last that long in F1 if you're not
Yep.
getting results, right? I mean, obviously, I think it's just testament that I mean, I guess it's good that teams continue to show faith in him because I mean, he was a good driver, right? I mean, in his juniors, he was a very good driver. He was widely thought of as a very top talent. He's been there for such a long time. Like,
Yeah, from 2010 he's been there.
yeah, it's been 15 years. Like, uh, man, in the time it's been in F1, Nico Rosberg came and left.
I
Like
know.
Nico Rosberg has finished an entire career, and this guy's still racing. So yeah, well, yeah, that's what Nico. Yeah, great outing for Sauber, and yeah, I think before we go on to the man, not the man of the not the man of the but before we go on to the meme team, I think otherwise the race decent results for a lot of other teams. Lance
Yes.
Stroll was P3 at a point. He finished seventh. Alpine had a car in the points. Pierre Gasly, I think,
Yeah.
has Pierre
After having a
Gasly put the
horrendous
nail in
Friday.
Colapinto's career with
After
that
ha-
P6?
Sorry?
Has Pierre Gasly put the nail in Colapinto's Alpine
Oh
career
yeah,
with that P6?
we could have seen the last race for Franco Colapinto this season. We don't know. We'll see what happens now in this
I think if
couple of
Gasly
weeks.
finished outside the points, maybe he would have had a chance. But he spun out and Gasly is in like freaking P6.
Mega job from Pierre Gasly. They
Yeah,
did not have the car to finish
right.
P6, but yeah, mega job from him.
Double points for Aston Martin.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, Lance Stroll probably could have finished higher, but yeah, double points for sure. I think again, not the best season for Aston Martin, but here
Yeah,
they are taking advantage of the mixed conditions and
right. And
making.
let's say Red Rain is always a great leveler, so you get these kind of drives. Obviously, didn't tell that six cars or five or six cars at the beginning decided to completely give up their race. I
So
will
cheeky,
never
but
get mad about that, especially because Ferrari pulled that stunt.
no, it was Shah's decision.
Was it?
It was.
I
He
thought it was
wanted
a
to
team
get into it.
decision.
No, I mean, I'm guessing they leave it to the drivers.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, but very, very big L. I mean, regardless of whoever decision it was, very, very big L that was.
it was.
Yeah.
And I think we should just go one more thing, which is the rookies did not have a very good race. I think most of them crashed out or were crashed
Yes.
into by somebody else.
The
So
first, the
except for
only
Ollie
rookie who
Behrman
finished was Ollie Behrman.
in 11th, and he was chasing down George Russell for the final
He had a
points.
very good
Unfortunately, he
chance of
didn't get there.
finishing. I think the Mercedes was a little too good for him, but
Yeah,
I think
but
a
it's
few
strange
more
that
laps and he could have caught the Mercedes.
yeah,
It felt
every
like.
other rookie kind of was out of the race. So it's pretty strange
Yeah.
or pretty like ironic that they are rookies in these conditions.
Yeah, I mean, it showed, right, why you need experience. A track like Silverstone and rain, not just rain, changing conditions. Yeah.
Yeah,
It felt like, was that Interlagos last year? When all the young drivers kept spinning out and your freaking Max go from last to first or whatever he did that race.
yeah.
But yeah, on that note, Ferrari, man. Uh, Lewis Hamilton's, how many years was it? 15 years or something? Streak of podiums broken at Silverstone?
11 years
Wait, just 11?
from 2014 to 2024.
Oh, okay. Yeah, 11 years. I thought it was longer than that for some reason.
No.
But yeah, 11-year long podium streak at Silverstone broken, which is probably a record for any driver at any track. I'm not sure. I mean, I haven't checked the. It probably is. So who finishes 11 years in a row, man? on the podium. That too. Nobody even has a car that good for 11 years. So yeah, I mean, he narrowly missed out. I think he could have caught Nico, but we saw after the last pit stop, he came out of the pits and he kind of had a moment
Yeah.
in the wet. I think the pit lane exit was a bit damp, and that kind of it was taking a lot of drivers by surprise. Not letting the
Yep.
tires warm up, actually cooling them, right? And we saw Lewis also have a moment there, and that kind of basically his race was done at that point. It felt he couldn't make up the gap.
I mean, he'd had a couple of moments. Sorry, couple of moments. Firstly, the start of the race, the first pit stop, he ended up getting undercut by a lot of people. From
Yeah.
I think P4 he went to P8.
Yeah, but
So that
his
was
tires fell off though. I mean, I think Ferrari pit him maybe 2 laps too
a
late.
lap late, is what I think.
Yeah, yeah. The lap where he pit his time the lap and the lap before he pit his times are very very bad. That's why Ferrari
Yes,
called him in so urgently. They thought they could extend him to
they
kind
shouldn't
of
have.
have some tire
Maybe,
delta on the other teams.
yeah.
I mean,
Unfortunately, they should have pitted him earlier, which they didn't. I
right.
mean,
I
firstly,
mean,
they lost his GPS apparently,
yeah,
so they
that
didn't
too.
know
Yeah,
where he was on
yeah.
the track.
Man, that's
Imagine
such a Ferrari thing, man.
Ferrari's
Oh,
thing.
we
I mean,
lost the
thank
GPS.
God
Like
they
what?
lost his GPS.
You're
I
like
think
a
probably
what that?
they like had the GPS on Charles, and that's the reason he finished 14th place. So
No, but it's such a Ferrari thing. When you have like a 50 million car, 200 million car, I don't know. Like, there's no, you can't set a price tag for this car, but what about millions of dollars they're worth? And what a GPS goes off, like, don't you have a backup? Like, what kind of cars are you building, man?
yeah, so that happened, and then he did. The car was so damn snappy, as he said. It was like a complete piece of trash. I felt at some points, but kind of the driver he is, the greatness he has. He dragged that car. He got overtook by George at one point, and then I thought, oh man, this could go bad.
But he came back.
But he came back immediately.
Yeah, yeah.
And
He was not letting Russell overtake him in Silverstone, man.
he came back, he drove that piece of trash, he got past George.
Yeah,
He got stuck behind Gasly for a few laps, but did he got past him as well.
right.
So, and then he got past Stroll, and then the Hulkenberg thing. He was getting close. He
Right.
was
Yeah.
close for a long time. Then he fell down by 2.5 seconds till the slicks started, coming back on the track. And then, as you said, Nico Hulkenberg put on the slicks a lap later, and he came out with an 8-second lead because Lewis had a few incidents, after putting on the slicks. And Lewis could probably never get down 8 seconds gap down to like a second or
I mean,
something.
he tried, but
He
I think he
tried, and
pushed
then
it till 5, but he probably felt he's pushing his tires too much, and then he just backed off. I don't think he had
yeah,
enough laps anyway at that point.
and then he didn't have enough laps. He also went wide again somewhere. That's what I
Yeah,
heard.
I mean,
Cross the
eventually finished 5 seconds behind. He did gain a bit in the end, but I think he did run out of laps too. I think Nico was
yeah,
falling off a bit at the end. His tires were falling off.
yeah. Unfortunately, that ended his podium streak. I mean, he
Yeah.
came so close, kind of yet so far, in a race which was dominated by these kind of conditions. If you had told me before the race where will Lewis finish, I would have guaranteed a podium.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, because of couple of strategic blunders and Lewis himself getting stuck behind a few drivers, it
Hmm.
kind of ended up being the race that it was.
I think not just strategy, but also Aniket. I think both Lewis and Charles, and even I think the teams kind of hinted that this car is not that good in the rain, right? We saw even at
It's
other.
never been good. When has Ferrari ever been good in the rain?
No. I mean this season. Even
This season, but when has Ferrari in general ever been good in the rain? Over the last few seasons, never.
yeah, but like no. I mean at least this season with such a rain expert, you would expect better things. But like I
I
mean,
mean,
if you
P8
see
gets
like
to
Friday,
P4.
Saturday, the Ferrari
I
was
don't.
so fast, right? Like it felt like the upgrades were working out. Lewis had a
I don't
very
think.
good chance of being on pole instead of
Yeah.
P5, right? I mean, he was setting purple, um, like second sector. He was, I think, faster than even Max at the end of second sector.
Yeah.
But then he had that moment again in sector 3 where he kind of went into the mud and lost pole. So I think the car is good. I think yeah, like you said, wet weather and Ferrari, yeah, it's been bad,
I
very
mean, only
bad.
Lewis could have got their car to kind of P4. I feel.
Yeah.
I don't think any other driver maybe could have got that car to P4. I mean, Now, if we come to Charles, right, probably one of his worst races of his career, I feel.
Yeah, yeah. I think Charles himself said as much that he
Yeah.
was pretty bad. I think, yeah, I think the initial that gamble didn't pay off. He got stuck behind other cars, and it's hard to vote in the rain, man. Like everybody's driving
Yeah.
cautiously. You're on edge.
You're
You
driving
don't want to spin
exactly.
off.
I have no idea why Charles needed to do that.
Yeah.
It never made sense that you saw on the formation lap how wet the track was,
Mm.
and that's the reason why there was a safety car. Why would a safety car have a? Why would the race start on a safety car if it was like dry patches everywhere?
Right.
So it kind of didn't make sense why Charles would take that gamble. He was starting from a good position, P5. He was in the top five. He could have done a lot of things from there.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, man.
But
It's like, if you're having the formation car being a safety car, read the room.
yes, exactly. That's what I read the room. So,
But yeah,
and
I
then
think Silverstone is just a track that I think it's I don't know, man. It always feels like Leclerc doesn't have his best time there.
it's kind of like a bogey track for him, right? He
Yeah.
never does well there.
What year was that? 22, I think. He was on track to be P2, and then he ended up P4. Both Perez and Leclerc, no, Perez and Lewis overtook him towards the end, right? I mean, actually, that race he was still good. He was defending very well.
He was.
People only remember the through was Hamilton, but he overtook Hamilton right after that.
He did.
But then
Yes.
his tires gave way because again he had very old hard tires and he couldn't keep up, and eventually Lewis overtook him for the podium spot. Which
Yeah.
again, that was 1 year which was very close to Lewis losing his podium streak at Silverstone. But that race he kept on, thanks to Ferrari. But this race he was in the Ferrari, so there's nobody to save him.
Yeah. I mean, and that was Charles' race, right? It was a race of bad decisions and bad driving. Like even the second
Yeah.
pit stop, he came in way too early for slicks, and then he had to struggle there on a wet track driving slicks.
Right.
So I think he'll probably just go and forget about this race and start preparing for Belgium.
Yeah, I think the
Because
car is good, man. Like with Belgium
the
being
car is decent enough to be the second best car on the grid
yeah,
behind the McLaren.
or
So
even snatch pole in qualifying as we saw on Saturday, right? So
definitely.
I think Spa. I mean, obviously, McLaren is obviously the heavy favorites there, but I think Ferrari will kind of believe in themselves to put up a fight. So yeah, I mean, there's 3 weeks time. We'll talk about Belgium then. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for today. Very very interesting race after a long time. I think we've had 2 good races in a row, right? Both Austria and Great Britain.
We did. We definitely did. And Spa is something which is also generally a good race. So with mixed conditions, so we have to see
Yes.
the weather. Now we need to keep a weather track for Spa too as the race gets closer.
Right, right.
So yeah, hoping for more good races, hoping for more McLaren battles,
Mm.
hoping for say Ferrari or Verstappen to challenge them in the next
Yeah.
few races. And just keep it locked in on Pod on the Apex to follow all the action and the stories as they develop.
Yeah, and with obviously we have this not the summer break, but we have a bit of a break with 3 weeks, so we'll try to get some other content for you that we've been planning for a while. So yeah, like Aniket said, stay subscribed, follow us on our channels, and we'll catch you on the spot for the Belgium preview. But definitely stay tuned to the YouTube channel for maybe some interesting videos or other things in the middle.
Yep. As Ferrari say, we are checking.
We
So
are
please
checking.
keep checking. Please keep checking the channel.
Please
for
keep
more
checking
such
the channel.
content. Yep.
All
Till
right.
the next one.
See you, folks.